Imagine being at the top of the world, with everything you could possibly want, only to lose it all in an instant. What would you do if you found yourself with nothing, and a stranger decided to change your life forever? This is a story about unexpected kindness, second chances, and a journey that could change everything you thought you knew about life. Stay tuned to see how one small act of compassion can turn a life of luxury into something much more meaningful. Trust me, you won't want to miss what happens next. Before we continue this incredible story, let us know where you're watching from. And if you love stories like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button because tomorrow we have another heartwarming story that you won't want to miss. Liam Fisher, a 28-year-old real estate mogul, was well known in New York City for his sharp mind and impressive portfolio. Born into wealth, he had everything anyone could desire: luxury cars, private jets, and a lavish penthouse overlooking the skyline. Yet, despite all the material success, Liam felt an emptiness inside. His life, built on the expectations of his family, lacked true meaning. One chilly evening, as he was driving home from a high-profile meeting, his mind raced with the weight of the next day's responsibilities. In his distracted state, he turned onto a narrow, isolated street, only to find himself surrounded by a group of robbers. Within minutes, his car was gone, along with his wallet, phone, and every trace of his lavish life. Stranded on the cold sidewalk, Liam felt a surge of panic, realizing how vulnerable he truly was. His heart pounded as he stood there, completely disoriented. He couldn't call a cab. His phone was gone. With no other choice, he decided to walk to the main avenue, hoping to catch a bus. Little did he know, this night would mark the beginning of a life-changing encounter. As Liam walked down the dark streets, his mind raced with thoughts of how he had ended up here. He had always been in control. Everything from his daily schedule to the choices he made was dictated by his family's expectations. But now, stranded without a car, phone, or any means of communication, Liam realized how fragile his existence truly was. He could feel his pride crumbling with each step he took toward the main avenue. As he rounded the corner, he saw the flickering lights of a bus stop in the distance. It was his only option, but as he approached, he realized he had no money for the fare. He checked his pockets once more, nothing. At the bus stop, Olivia Carter stood, leaning against the pole, waiting for the bus that would take her home after another long shift at the bakery. She was exhausted, but her mind was sharp. Olivia had spent the day running back and forth, helping customers and organizing the small kitchen where she worked. Despite her tiredness, she always had a smile for everyone. She had learned to find peace in the simplicity of her life. When the bus pulled up, Olivia stepped forward, counting her remaining coins to pay the fare. She had just enough, but when the bus driver moved to close the doors, she noticed a man standing at the door. He was tall, well-dressed, and looked as though he had seen better days. His clothes were rumpled, and there was a nervous energy in the way he stood. "I can't pay the fare," Liam muttered, a hint of frustration in his voice. The driver shook his head, crossing his arms. "No money, no ride." Liam looked down, feeling a wave of hopelessness wash over him. In that moment, a voice spoke up from behind him. It was Olivia. "I'll pay for his fare," she said, stepping forward. Liam turned, his eyes wide with surprise. He hadn't expected anyone, let alone a stranger, to offer help. Olivia's voice was calm and warm, without a hint of hesitation. She simply wanted to do a good deed. Her eyes met his briefly, and in that moment, Liam felt something shift inside him. The world he was used to, where people only acted out of self-interest, seemed so distant compared to the genuine kindness this young woman was showing. He couldn't believe that someone with so little would offer to help him, someone with so much. "No, you don't have to do that," Liam said, feeling embarrassed. But Olivia smiled and handed the bus driver the coins. It's already done. You better get on before he changes his mind, she said simply, her tone unwavering. Liam hesitated for a moment, but seeing no other choice, he nodded and stepped onto the bus. He found a seat near the back, trying to shake off the confusion and the strange feeling that had taken root inside him. As the bus started moving again, he glanced back at Olivia, who was sitting quietly near the front. For the first time in a long while, Liam found himself questioning everything: his wealth, his choices, and the world he had been living in. As the bus continued on its route through the city, Liam found himself lost in thought. He couldn't stop thinking about the brief interaction with Olivia. A simple, selfless act of kindness from someone he had never met before. She hadn't asked for anything in return, and that fact left him questioning everything he had come to believe. The world he had lived in, a world where everything seemed to be transactional, now seemed so shallow in comparison. He had always surrounded himself with people who were after something, whether it was his money, his status, or his influence. But Olivia, she didn't even know who he was. She had simply offered help because it was the right thing to do. It left him feeling unsettled. When the bus reached Olivia's stop, she stood up, preparing to leave. Liam noticed how she moved, gracefully and without the weight of the world on her shoulders. She seemed so grounded, so unaffected by the chaos and expectations that governed his life. He couldn't shake the feeling that he needed to say something, to thank her in some way. His mind raced as she moved toward the door. "Hey," he called out, his voice tentative. Olivia paused and turned, a small but curious smile playing on her lips. "Yes? Thank you," Liam said, his voice a bit hoarse. "You have no idea how much you helped me today. I wasn't sure what I was going to do." Olivia's smile widened, but it wasn't a smile of pride. It was humble, almost as if helping him had been as natural as breathing. "Everyone needs a little help sometimes," she replied softly, almost as if the words were for herself as much as for him. Liam watched her for a moment, struck by how sincere her words were. She didn't seem to care about his wealth, his name, or his status. She simply helped because she could. The realization hit him like a ton of bricks. In a world where he had been taught to use his power and influence to get what he wanted, he had never known true humility, true connection, until now. And he didn't want to forget this moment. Before he could say anything else, Olivia stepped off the bus, disappearing into the city streets. Liam stayed where he was, staring out the window. For the rest of the ride, he couldn't focus on anything other than the encounter with Olivia. Her simple, unpretentious kindness had shaken him in a way he couldn't quite explain. He thought of all the people in his life who had only been interested in what he could do for them, and he couldn't help but feel a deep sense of regret. What had he been doing all these years? When the bus reached his destination, Liam got off and made his way home, but the feeling from the bus ride lingered with him. He had everything money could buy, but in that moment, it felt like the most valuable thing in the world was a single act of kindness. Something so simple yet so profound. And for the first time in a long time, Liam wondered if he could find his way back to what truly mattered. The next morning, Liam woke up with a restless feeling in his chest. He tried to shake off the lingering thoughts of Olivia, but they stuck with him like a heavy weight. It had been just a simple act, her paying for his bus fare, but something about it had changed him. He had always thought that success was measured in assets, influence, and control. But Olivia had reminded him of something he had long forgotten. Real kindness, real connection, had nothing to do with what one could offer in terms of wealth or power. As he sat in his penthouse, looking out over the city, Liam felt more isolated than ever. The luxury around him, The towering skyscrapers, the fast-paced life, it all seemed so meaningless now. For the first time, he questioned whether any of it had ever brought him true happiness. Was this the life he had been working toward? A life where everything came at a price, even the people around him. And where did he fit into it all now that he had seen a glimpse of something different, something pure? He thought about the days he had spent with his family, making deals and expanding the family business. He had never questioned it. It was expected. But now, sitting in the silence of his lavish apartment, he couldn't help but wonder, was he living for himself, or for the expectations of others? Olivia had no expectations. She had helped him, not because she thought it would lead to something, but simply because she saw a person in need. It was the kind of simple humanity he had lost touch with. And as much as he hated to admit it, he felt envious of her ability to live a life free from the constraints of wealth and status. Over the next few days, Liam couldn't stop thinking about Olivia. He knew that he had to find her again, not because he wanted to thank her, but because something about her had stirred a deep longing in him, longing for something real. In his world, relationships were often shallow, motivated by what one could offer in return. But Olivia's kindness had no strings attached, and that made it all the more valuable. Liam couldn't help but ask himself if he could be like her. If he could give up his old way of life, the wealth, the power, the expectations, and live for something more. It wasn't just about finding Olivia again. It was about finding a way to live differently, to make choices that came from a place of sincerity, not obligation. That evening, he sat in his office, staring at his reflection in the dark glass of his window. The man looking back at him didn't feel like the man he wanted to be anymore. He wanted to change, to embrace a life that felt true to who he really was. But could he let go of the world that had defined him for so long? The world where success was measured by what you owned and who you knew. As he turned to leave his office, a message pinged on his phone. It was from his assistant. The diner by the bus stop. She's there again. His heart skipped a beat. Olivia. The next day, Liam couldn't shake the feeling that something had shifted inside him. He had always believed that opportunities were something you fought for, something you could seize with power and influence. But in this moment, he realized that some of the best opportunities in life came when you weren't expecting them, when you let go of control and let life unfold on its own. And for the first time in years, Liam felt a genuine sense of curiosity about the path ahead. As he made his way to the diner where Olivia worked, he couldn't help but wonder what it would be like to live a life that wasn't dictated by wealth and expectations. He thought about the dream she had shared with him the day before, to one day open her own bakery. It was a simple dream, but it was hers, and that's what made it so beautiful. It made him realize that maybe it was time to stop chasing dreams that weren't his own, and start pursuing something real. When he arrived at the diner, it was just as he remembered, small, cozy, with the rich scent of fresh coffee and pastries in the air. As he stepped inside, he noticed Olivia behind the counter, busy preparing orders. She looked up and saw him standing there, but there was no surprise in her eyes. She had grown accustomed to seeing him walk through the door every day. There was something different about him today, though, a quiet confidence that hadn't been there before. Liam walked up to the counter, his heart racing. For the first time, he wasn't here just because he wanted to thank her. He was here because something inside him was changing. He didn't want to live in a world where everything was based on transactions and obligations. He wanted something real. And he thought, just maybe, that Olivia could be the one to help him find it. "Hey, Olivia," Liam said softly, taking a seat at the counter. Olivia paused for a moment, giving him a curious look. "Hey, Liam. How's your day going? It's been a lot better since I saw you," he replied, his voice steady. "I've been thinking about what you said yesterday. About your bakery dream." She raised an eyebrow, a small smile tugging at the corners of her mouth. "That's a long way from reality." "Not necessarily," Liam said, his eyes meeting hers. "What if I could help you make it a reality?" Olivia's smile faltered for a moment. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I've been thinking. I've got the resources to help you get started. I know it's a risk, but if we partner up, maybe we can build something together. A bakery, yes, but also a space that's more than just about food. A place where people can feel something real. I don't want to just fund your dream. I want to help create it." Olivia was silent for a moment, processing what Liam had said. She hadn't expected this kind of offer. She had always worked hard for everything she had, and the thought of relying on someone else, especially someone like Liam, was a little intimidating. But there was something in his eyes, something she had never seen before. It wasn't about power or control. It was genuine. "I don't know," Olivia began, her voice trailing off. "That's a big decision." "I know," Liam said, leaning forward. "But sometimes the best decisions are the ones that scare us the most." She studied him for a long moment, weighing the offer in her mind. It wasn't just about the bakery anymore. It was about a chance to do something real, something that mattered, with someone who seemed to truly understand what that meant. After a long pause, Olivia sighed, her expression softening. "Okay, Liam. Let's do it. Let's see where this takes us." The days following Olivia's decision to partner with Liam felt like a whirlwind. What had started as a casual conversation in a small diner had rapidly transformed into a shared dream, one that grew bigger and more real with every passing day. Liam found himself immersed in something he had never imagined, a life where he wasn't just making deals or chasing status, but building something meaningful, something grounded in sincerity and hard work. For the first time in a long while, Liam found himself waking up excited, not because of the business meetings or the tasks that awaited him at work, but because he was finally doing something that felt authentic. Every morning, he walked to the site they had chosen for the bakery and the small hotel, a place that was nothing like the extravagant properties his family had owned. This was different. This was a fresh start. Olivia, on the other hand, had grown more confident with every decision they made together. She had spent so many years working hard at the bakery, building her skills and her reputation, but she had never imagined it would lead to something this big. She had always dreamed of opening her own bakery, but now, thanks to Liam, she was looking at a much larger vision, one that included a cafe inside a small hotel by the coast. The opportunity felt surreal, but it was also a reminder of how far she had come. As the weeks passed, Liam and Olivia became closer than ever, not just as business partners, but as friends. They spent long hours working side by side, meeting with architects, discussing plans, and making decisions. For Liam, it was a chance to get his hands dirty in a way he had never done before. He had always been surrounded by people who did the work for him, but now, he was taking part in the process himself. The change was profound, and he could feel the walls around his heart slowly coming down. One afternoon, as Liam and Olivia stood together, admiring the progress on the building, Olivia couldn't help but notice the difference in him. Gone was the arrogant, aloof businessman who had walked into the diner weeks ago. In his place was a man who seemed grounded, who was not afraid to get involved, not afraid to learn, and who genuinely cared about the work they were doing together. "You've changed, Liam," she said quietly, almost to herself. Liam looked at her, his eyes softening. "I think I'm finally becoming the person I was meant to be," he said. "It's taken me a while to get here, but I'm starting to understand that it's not about having it all, it's about making a difference." And I want to do that with you, Olivia. Olivia smiled, a genuine warmth in her eyes. She had always admired his ambition, but now, she saw something even more powerful: vulnerability. The man standing before her wasn't the man she had initially thought him to be. He wasn't just a rich, powerful businessman anymore. He was someone who was learning, growing, and truly investing in what mattered. And that was the kind of person she could see herself building a future with. As they stood there, side by side, looking at the work that was coming together, both of them realized that this project was more than just about the bakery or the hotel. It was about building a new life, one based on authenticity, kindness, and shared dreams. It wasn't going to be easy, and there were bound to be challenges ahead, but together, they knew they could face them. The grand opening of the bakery and hotel was everything Olivia and Liam had dreamed of and more. The small coastal town, which had been overlooked by many for years, suddenly became a place of bustling energy and excitement. The scent of freshly baked pastries mixed with the salty air, and the sound of laughter and chatter filled the air. The community, initially skeptical about the project, had quickly embraced it as their own, and tourists, eager for a taste of something real, began flocking to the cafe and hotel. Olivia watched the guests enjoying their meals, the joy on their faces as they tasted her pastries for the first time. There was something incredibly fulfilling about seeing people truly appreciate the hard work she had poured into every recipe, every detail. It was a dream come true, but it was more than that. It was a validation of her journey, of the sacrifices she had made, and of the choices she had once feared were impossible. She had always wanted to create something special, and now, it was happening. Liam, too, had grown in ways he had never imagined. He had always been the man in the suit, the one who called the shots, the one who made the deals. But now, standing in the hotel lobby, watching Olivia work with such passion and grace, he felt a sense of pride he had never known before. This wasn't just about success or money anymore. It was about building something that could make a real difference in people's lives. And he had helped create that, alongside Olivia. Their partnership had blossomed into something deeper, something that neither of them had expected. Their days were filled with laughter and late-night talks about future plans. Their dreams, once separate, had now merged into one shared vision. The bakery and hotel had become a place of new beginnings for them, and it had opened doors they had never even considered. One evening, after a long day of work, Liam and Olivia sat on the balcony of the hotel, overlooking the ocean. The sun had just dipped below the horizon, leaving a soft, golden glow over the water. The town was quiet, and for a moment, they both allowed themselves to simply enjoy the peace they had created together. "I never thought I'd be here," Liam said, his voice softer than usual. "I thought I had everything, but I was so wrong. I never knew what it meant to truly live, to build something with someone who shares your values." Olivia turned to him, her eyes warm with understanding. "I think we both found something we didn't know we were looking for." Liam smiled, taking her hand in his. "I'm glad we found it together." As they sat there, the world seemed to fade away. There was no need for grand gestures, no need for validation. The life they had built together, based on trust, hard work, and love, was more fulfilling than anything they could have ever imagined. They had created something real, something that mattered, not just to them, but to everyone who had come through their doors, looking for a place to belong. And in that moment, they both knew they had found exactly what they were searching for: a life built on authenticity, shared dreams, and the simple joy of being together. The story of Olivia and Liam teaches us a powerful lesson about the importance of authenticity and kindness in our lives. It reminds us that no matter how much wealth, status, or success we accumulate, true fulfillment comes from meaningful connections and living in alignment with our values. Olivia, with her humble dreams and unwavering kindness, showed Liam that it's not what you have that defines you, but how you treat others and how you follow your heart. The lesson here is that the most rewarding opportunities often come when we step out of our comfort zone, challenge our assumptions, and embrace what feels right in our hearts. We don't have to live according to others' expectations, and we don't have to chase after things that leave us feeling empty. Sometimes, it's the simplest acts of kindness that lead to the greatest transformations. In our own lives, we can apply this lesson by making conscious choices to live authentically. Take a moment to assess whether you're pursuing goals that truly resonate with who you are, rather than what others expect of you. Seek out relationships that are built on genuine connection, not just transactional exchanges. It may be hard to break free from old patterns, but taking small steps towards authenticity and kindness can lead to a life full of deeper meaning and fulfillment. Whether it's helping a stranger, pursuing a passion project, or changing your career path, remember that living authentically is where true happiness lies.